Good morning. Good morning. I'm Tim Carter, and it says that I am live, and I believe it. I think Jimmy might be the only person here. So you're putting your house on the market, Jimmy. What do you know? Okay, good for you. It's probably an excellent time to buy, and I'm sorry, it's an excellent time to sell. And if somehow you could go to a closing, get your cash, and then live in an RV trailer for 3 or 4 months, uh, you'll make the best investment of your life. Uh, because what I think is gonna happen, I think we're gonna have the bubble's gonna burst again. We're gonna have another real estate bubble burst. Could be wrong about that, but I don't see how what's happening now is sustainable. And if it does burst, then you can buy maybe a house that you want for 70 cents on the dollar. So the only problem is we've got interest rates that are going up. They're trying to tame inflation. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. And anyway, a lot of stuff going on. So anyway, good luck with that. Um, but don't wear yourself out too much. Oh, hey, good morning, Elaine. How you doing? Great that you're here. I just wanted to say that today I've got a hard break at 9:30. So at the most, this live stream will be an hour and a half. I'm going to talk about the snapper. It only says one person watching right now. I'm going to wait till a few more people are here. Um, it's really odd, isn't that interesting? So Elaine's here, Jimmy's here, but my counter only shows one. That's very interesting. Um, I yeah. Hey Jimmy, quit hitting on Elaine, man. She's my girlfriend. Daggone it. Kathy's still sleeping. I'm trying. Just so you know, I'm trying to work it out. Um, to do a road trip down south and into North Carolina because I have this feeling I may have to go up and knock on this one county sheriff's door to get a report. And if so, I'm going to get to meet Elaine. So if everything works out, let's I haven't, I'm still kind of fuzzy, but it's getting to that time of year where I can get out of here and get out of Kathy's hair for 3 or 4 or 5 days. Hello, Louise. Uh, no, you have no idea how smart Elaine is. And here's the best part. Um, I've been blessed uh, because Elaine has emailed me a lot. Elaine is a newsletter subscriber, and she has shared some of her previous life. When she was in the military, and just wow, fascinating background. I mean, fascinating. So anyway, if you're here to discover more about the Snapper, let me pull it up here. The Snapper XD cordless 21-inch self-propelled mower. I'm going to be talking about it in just a moment or two. And if you have any questions about the mower, let me know. I thought I would just talk about it now, even though I have not taken it out of the box yet, because here in New Hampshire, in central New Hampshire, things are just starting to pop out. In other words, yesterday I was on a little bit of a walk and I took the first photograph of the first birch trees with their leaves coming out. And it was really interesting. In the morning, I took a photo of these hostas in our yard that were coming up, they're annuals. And I could get the photo out. Anyway, I would say the sprouts were maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. And you could easily determine that in the photograph. There's something in there for scale. I I was gone yesterday afternoon. I get back home about, I don't know, 6 o'clock, 6:15, and I swear they were this tall. I mean, it's like they had grown in one day 3 inches. Just that's what I've noticed here in New Hampshire. Spring comes late, winter comes early, and the plants, they know that. They know they have to play catch up baseball. So when the trees start to leaf out and when Other things start to come up out of the ground. I mean, man, they don't waste any time. They like, let's go, let's get growing here. Um, oh, you're right. Sorry, hot perennials. Kathy would be scolding me if she had a switch right now. She'd be hitting me on the back. You're exactly right. They are perennials, uh, uh, and they're huge. These hostas. They've been. I don't know if I think Kathy maybe brought them from Cincinnati. I don't know. And these things, when they come up and out, they're like 4 or 5 feet in diameter, this group of hostas, and I know she can split them, and, like, right now, in fact, she should cut them into quarters and replant them somewhere else, and then it's just crazy. They're, Hi. Hey, Jason, good morning. Uh good morning, buddy. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Everybody's here. This is good. We're having a nice little party this morning. If you have any questions about what's been going on, let me know. I'll tell you really briefly before I start talking about the Mower, before I start talking about the Snapper XD more. First of all, this is maybe the last day I'm wearing a flannel shirt. It was really nice and balmy yesterday in the 60s. Today is only supposed to be in the 50s, so it'll be a little cool. And right now, it was started out very sunny right after sunrise, but now it's pretty much overcast. So I haven't looked at the weather forecast, but I did outdoor radio yesterday. I'll tell you all about it in just a second. And I had a horrible night's sleep. I mean, like horrible. I was up like 3 hours in the middle of the night, like, ugh. So so I got up a little late. I went and did a Parks on the Air activation. If you want to know what Parks on the Air is, it's an amazing program. They've got a website, parksontheair.com. So parks, just all that together, parksontheair.com. I urge you to go there. Very interesting. What happens is this was a program that started in 2017, and it's international. And in 2016, what happened, there was a program called the National Parks on the Air. And I was very active in that. And people like me who like to go outdoors and use ham radio, um, go to these entities. In other words, a park. In the case of the national parks in there, you had to be at a national park or a national historic site, or all those kind of things. Like I don't think that the national forest did not qualify. In New Hampshire, for example, there were only two places you could go. We only have two places, and one was the St. Gaudens um, National Historic Site, and the other one is a river, a national river kind of down south. But the Parks on the Air, that's like it's crazy. If you go here, in fact, I urge you to do this. Go to the parksontheair.com website, parksontheair.com, and up at the top, you don't have to log in. You don't have to have an account. There's like a map. You just find the map. And when you get to that page, you have to click at the top, click United States, and then over in the right-hand side at the top, click New Hampshire. And when that map opens up, every one of those yellow dots is an entity that can be activated. I mean, I don't know. New Hampshire, we may have the highest number of state parks or state forests per square mile of any other state in the nation. It's crazy, crazy. I mean, look at all the places I can go, and you can go there multiple times if you want. But there's quite a few places in New Hampshire that have not been activated. All right, so that's what I did yesterday. I went to Governor Wentworth State Park, and Governor Wentworth, he was the last royal governor that the King of England had appointed, that King George had appointed, because, and I took a picture of the historic marker. So he was governor, I think, from like 18 or 17. I'm just going to make it up, 1750 something until 1775, when we, our ancestors kicked England to the curb. So Steve was here. Hey, good morning, Buck. How you doing? And it was a beautiful state park. We were there alone. It was actually closed, but there was a maintenance guy there. He let us in, and really it just sit these picnic tables right by the lake. It was a beautiful lake. Lake Wentworth's a really interesting lake. All right, let's talk about the snapper more. All right. Um, because you might be here because you want to know about the snapper XD more. It's I'm gonna this is gonna be kind of an interesting segment. I got this more because I want to give it to my son as a present. He bought his first home and he'll be moved in about 3 weeks. And and he loves all this technology stuff. It's really funny. He's really funny. He's got a car. He's had a car for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And he hates everything about cars. Here's what I'm sorry. He hates everything there is to hate about changing oil. He's never done it himself. All right. I used to do it all the time. Still do. I still change the oil on my truck. The car, my wife's Volvo is too much of a pain in the ass, and it's too close to the ground. He just hates so he loves electric. He loves electric. You don't have to change any oil, blah, 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 blah. So this Snapper XD mower, it's really got some impressive specs. We're gonna see if it works out. First of all, it's got um, it's got Briggs and Stratton. So Briggs and Stratton, this shouldn't surprise anyone. They've gotten into the battery business too, and it's got two 82-volt. Think about that, 82-volt, and that's got to be 82-volt. It's got the voltage has got to be up there because when you think about having to spin that blade and the resistance that blade encounters with the grass, you've got to have some power. And if you remember your high school physics, voltage is power. All right. Per se. In other words, the higher the voltage, you can get more things done generally. All right. This thing comes with a rapid charger. I don't know. It doesn't say in the specs how quickly. Well, here it is. Charge time. Doesn't really make sense to me. But I think if you need to put in like looks like 2 volts to get into it takes 30 minutes. I don't know, 13 minutes. I don't know. It's very confusing. This line they have for the charge time, very confusing. But it looks like if it's fully discharged, I think here's what it is. In other words, if the battery is 15% or 50% discharged, I see. It's the different amp hours because they come with different amp hour batteries. So if you get the 5 amp hour battery, if the battery now it finally makes sense. If you have the 5 amp hour battery, which is the most powerful one, if you have the battery 50% discharged, it takes a half an hour to charge it up. If you fully discharge it, 75 minutes. It says a rapid charge feature. The runtime, this is going to be interesting to see if this is true. Up to 90 minutes, it says, with 2 fully charged 2.0 batteries. So the lower amp hour batteries, it says, can run for 90 minutes. That's amazing. The motor's 1,200 watts. Cutting width is 21 inches. It's got a steel deck. It's self-propelled. All right, so that's a good thing. The height adjustments got 7 positions on the height adjustments. The rear wheels are 10-inch diameter. The front wheels are 8-inch. That's good. The motor's got a 2-year warranty. And the product limited warranty is 5 years. And the battery warranty is 2 years. All right, limited. So those are the specs on this more. It's kind of neat. It folds up. The handle folds up really easily. And you can lift the mower and hang it on the wall. So it doesn't take a lot of floor space up. It's a really interesting looking storage wise, it takes up very little. And my son's already said that's how he wants to store it. But here's one thing you need to know. I'm actually writing the column tomorrow because we're celebrating Mother's Day today. So tomorrow I can do whatever I want. I was supposed to write this column early in the week, and the week got away from me. I decided I have this propensity, in case you don't know me, to hi Jack, how you doing? Okay, so there you go. Thank you, Jimmy, because I know you're an electrician guy. So yeah, and I don't know how they're wired, but I would think it would absolutely be in parallel. That'd be crazy. There's no way that's going to be 164 volts. The I have this propensity to like go cut across the grain, to go against the grain. And here's the thing. Here's what I mean by this. Many of my peers, I've been doing this Ask the Builder thing for 28 years. All right. Um, yes, Elaine, happy Mother's Day. Um, and happy Mother's Day to you too. I believe you're a mom. I'm not sure. I think you are. I have this propensity, as I said, to cut across the grain. And I've noticed in the 28 years that I've done Ask the Builder that many of my peers are the exact opposite. Whatever the manufacturers spit out about a product, they that's what they write. They don't ask probing questions. It doesn't seem to be. There's only one guy who did, and he's long since out of the business. I haven't talked to him in a long time. He lived in Spokane, Washington. It's kind of an oddball, but he was a smart guy. His name was Leon Frechette. Leon Frechette. And Leon at the Sears editors conferences he would ask the toughest flipping questions. And I mean, he would put the manufacturers on the spot. And I really admired Leon for doing that. He was he had a pretty caustic personality. Um, he was, I think actually, in looking back, that Leon had a pretty weak ego. And when that happens, I think I'm not an expert in this, all right? I'm not a psychologist, and I don't have a philosophy degree. But anyway, Leon, I mean, I found that people who are kind of weak, have a weak ego, then they tend to be more like in your face to compensate for that. And whereas if you've got a great ego, you can just be placid. You're not worried about somebody attacking you and saying stuff. It's like, well, big deal. I don't care. Whatever. That's my take. Anyway, what does that have to do with the snapper more? Here, it has everything to do with it. Here's what. I am writing a column tomorrow about, and I've already done all the legwork. I just have to write it. It's really pretty simple. About cordless versus corded tools. And Jimmy, you'll be fascinated with this one. Being in the trade. Um, I don't identify, so I'm a mother too. I can't wait to give birth. Jimmy, you're so flipping hilarious. Well, anyway, Elaine, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry. I probably shouldn't have said anything. It's always kind of embarrassing for somebody to say something like that. So I'm embarrassed. Sorry about that. Because it's really none of my business. I'm writing this column about corded versus cordless tools. And I even went to the extent earlier in the week. A really good friend of mine, it's a good friend of mine, is electrical engineer. He's retired. And I asked him a bunch of questions because actually what I was most interested in, you'll like this. I was really curious, and I mean, I had the answer right. I said, "Here's what I think happens. Can you confirm if I'm right or am I wrong? I really want to know if I'm wrong." And what I wanted to know was if you have two identical tools, that have the same horsepower, and that's really critical. That's the thing. In other words, each electric motor is the same horsepower. Um, do you use the same amount of electricity? In other words, if I use the corded saw, if I cut with it for say 45 minutes with my finger on the trigger full on, and then I do the same thing with the other saw, and when it gets charged, am I using more or less electricity? In other words, are the cordless tools, do they have some type of magic in them where they use a lot less electricity? The answer is no. No. So that's a really interesting thing for you to understand because, in other words, it means that the cost of operating the tool is the same. All right. That's really important when you're going to compare these things. And I think you're gonna be really amazed by this column. So the same thing is true with the snapper more. All right. Now, but the trouble is if you don't meaning you in the old days you could and I have to admit this was a they were a pain in the ass. Years ago I had one, many years ago. I had one of the first electric mowers. It was actually my mom and dad. They bought it when I was still living at home. I mean, it was horrible. It was back in the 70s. Can't remember the brand. I just remember dealing with that stupid electric cord out in the lawn was a pain in the butt. And I mean, and this was before the GFCI was even invented. So it was, in my opinion, it's pretty dangerous to be out there with this flipping electric cord. So it's really going to be interesting to see the difference between this cordless battery powered mower and a traditional gasoline powered mower. Uh, cost wise, it does not appear that there's much of a difference. I didn't tell you this, but the MSRP for this mower is $700. All right, so I know you can go out and buy a 21-inch gasoline powered. Maybe it not be top of the line, but you could probably buy one. I don't know. Let me look that up. That's a really good question. Somebody else could probably do it. Yeah, why don't you do that for me if you could? If you don't have, if you have got a minute, just go to Amazon.com and type in 21-inch gasoline lawnmower. Just give me an idea. I'm just going to say you could probably get one for $300 right now. Well, that's not too bad. All right, that's really interesting to know. Can you get a 21-inch gasoline powered lawnmower for 200, $300? Let me know. Yes, they are. It is brushless, Jimmy. It says right here, brushless motor. Yeah, it's completely brushless. All right, so I'm not saying don't buy a cordless mower. They're going to sell like crazy. But here. I'll give you a little spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. All right. My college degree's in geology. All right, and we have it. What I find is really kind of interesting, just so you know. Yes, I did tell you that. So I thought that's the spoiler alert. Wait till you see the math in the column, Jimmy, because I'll share the column on Monday's live stream, because I'll write it tomorrow. I'll load it to the website probably tomorrow, and then on Monday you'll be able to see it. Or if you got nothing to do late tomorrow afternoon, just go to askthebuilder.com and always, if you want to see the latest columns, here's a little tip, by the way. I never really shared this. Because of the way the content management system I use WordPress. If you want to see my latest work, all you have to do is go to the website, and at the top navigation, there's a thing called Q&A, question and answer. So it's just an acronym, Q&A. And click that, and then you'll see a list. Well, the most recent stuff is at the top of the list. And if you just keep going down the page and click older posts, you'll go back years. All right. So there's almost 4,000 pages on the website, maybe 5,000. But if you just want to see, like, what has Tim done in the last week or so, that's on that as soon as you hit Q&A. All right. Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. Yeah, it's a lot. Well, there's 28 years worth of stuff there. 28 years worth of writing. The thing is that here's what I was going to say about the geology. Here's the tie-in. Many, not all, many of the people like my son, and this is not a bad idea. Don't take this the wrong way. Many people who are embracing this electric technology, Teslas and all this electric stuff, all this cordless stuff, I think they've fallen into this trap. They've been kind of kidnapped by this green movement. All right. And I've got a whole thing to talk about the green movement. I could do that another day. If I do that, it won't make the manufacturers happy. All right. But I told you I'm the cut across the grain guy. So if you're a green person, in other words, if you're one of these tree huggers, I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I don't like pollution. I love where I live. New Hampshire is one of the cleanest states in the United States. No pollution here. It's amazing. So I want clean water, clean air, all that. Who doesn't? Seriously, who raises their hands and say, you know what? I love polluted rivers. I love everything about them. I love it when when that's rivers smell and they have all this oil on them. No, no one's going to say that. Come on. So everybody likes green. All right. Well, the thing is, what you're not hearing a lot of in the media is, and remember this, if you took any kind of economics, this is where I'm going. This is going to be in the column. We have just a limited amount of resources. In other words, of lithium. There happens to be a big lithium deposit just about 60 miles, 70 miles from me. I don't know if they're going to be allowed to mine it, but it's up near Sunday River Ski Resort in Maine. But we only have so much of the stuff that's required to make these batteries. All right, that's easily it's easily obtainable. There's a lot of it within the crust of the earth, but it's not necessarily economically recoverable. You have to understand that. In other words, there's still lots of gold and all kinds of great stuff, great stuff, but we can't get it and make economic sense. If that makes, in other words, you can't drill down 10 or 20 miles or put a tunnel down and get all the gold that's under the Sierra Nevadas. I mean, it's there, but you can only get the stuff up near the surface. What's going to happen? Here's the problem. Here's the deal. You tell me what you think the price of a replacement battery is going to be 3 or 4 years from now if this whole trend towards electric cars. I mean, think how much lithium they have to put in a car compared to your lawnmower. And as that competition for those raw materials gets fierce, you tell me what's going to happen. I mean, what's the price of gasoline right now? So in other words, right now, I haven't even looked. I have not even looked yet. I mean, I will. I don't know what one of these replacement batteries costs for this more. I mean, oh my goodness, it's a 82 volt, 5 amp hour. I mean, compare here. In my notes, the a 10 amp hour battery, 20 volt battery replacement right now, today, well, 3 days ago, $200. Is it starting to make sense? Starting to get this? Because you're locked in. In other words, the whole point is, it's very doubtful that you're going to wear out the mower unless you're cutting grass in a really dusty situation. And I think what these manufacturers are doing, I can't prove it. I doubt they'd ever admit it. I just think they're trying to suck you into the black hole. And I've said this on previous live streams. They're going to become battery companies. They're not really tool companies. They just want you to buy batteries. Just like today. This morning I shaved. Gillette or Schick or whatever, they'll give you the razor. They'll give you a $20 razor for free, man. Take it. Take the $20 razor. We don't care. Because they know you're going to be buying blades from them for a long time. All right. So that's what's going on. All right. Elaine says, looked on my phone, PowerSmart has some of the tooth. There you go. That's perfect. No, but that was the point, Elaine. In other words, thank you. That's what I thought. $200 to $300, you could get a lawnmower, a gasoline powered one. And I know how to maintain them. In other words, it doesn't take a lot of work to maintain a lawnmower, really. I mean, to change the oil every year. The key thing, just so you know, I'll talk about this really quickly. I was really lucky about 6 years ago. I got to go to, I was invited to go to the Briggs and Stratton world headquarters up in Wisconsin and in Milwaukee. I'm almost positive that's where it was. And I got to meet with their top engineers. And do you know what? This is something a lot of people, you may not know this. If you want this is true really for both your trucks, cars, small engines. You want your small engines to last forever? So simple. Change the air filter twice a year. That's all you got to do. If you keep the air filter really clean, the engineers, this shouldn't surprise you. Briggs and Stratton did a bunch of research, and which is really smart because they wanted to find out what are the pain points for consumers who use their small engines because they want to make their small engines better. And almost everybody had the same complaint that my son has. He's like, I don't want to mess with changing the oil. It's hard to change the oil. It's messy. It drips all over the place. It's hard to get rid of it. They had this long list of complaints. So basically, the consumers were saying, if you could figure out how to make an engine that doesn't require me to change the oil, I'm all over that. So 6 years ago, Briggs and Stratton had a program where, as long as you change the oil filters, you never have to change the oil ever. Pretty crazy, huh? All right, just so you know, I've been here talking. If you have any questions at all about your home, this is the time to answer them or ask them, not answer them. I'll answer them. You ask them. Saturday mornings have been a little light. I know it's early. We had hoped, the reason I'm doing them on Saturday mornings, we had hoped to pick up more European people. That it was a suggestion, but we're not. I don't see that happening, but that's okay. The regular crowds here, I'm happy to talk to you. Not a problem. Happy to do it. But if you have a question at all about your home, just feel free to ask it. I got to get that Java going here. The so all right. I just wanted to say that it's really going to be interesting to see how well this snapper more works. I have a feeling it's going to work great because I remember years ago um, that electric mower I used, even though it was 120 volt, it did a good job. And what they did to lower the stress on the motors back then, it had two electric motors and it had two blades, and each of the blades I remember was only about this long. So that makes it easier for the motor instead of having to try to spin a big blade. The I'm really interested to see how well this self-propelled thing goes. And luckily, at my son's yard, it's pretty level, so this thing should do a fantastic job. And as far as runtime, if I would say as long as he doesn't let the grass get out of control, and that's really the critical thing I think with these mowers. Um, if you don't try to, if it's not too high, I would think he's going to have no trouble cutting this lawn in 20 minutes. It just doesn't. I just don't think it's going to take that much time. So he should have great success. If you have any questions about the mower, let me know. It's a beautiful color of red, beautiful red mower, and be taken out of the box in about 3 weeks. And I'm actually going to record a video about it. We're going to record a video, and should be a fun video to do actually, and tell you everything about it, in the video. And his grass should be in pretty good shape by then. Should be. I can't remember. I don't know. I'll find out today. I don't know if the builder sodded his lot or if it's seeded. I don't know. We'll find out. It doesn't matter. If you have any questions, happy to ask them. Excuse me. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, I've been waiting for an email to come to me, and it came overnight. So I'll just touch on this. If you've not been paying attention to the national news, you have to be living under a rock. All right. So, do you remember seeing that one TV commercial that was? I think it was for an insurance. It was hilarious. They actually said that, and the guy kind of went back down into the ground. I mean, he actually was living under a rock. I loved it. I think I've told you this before. I love watching television commercials. I absolutely love it because I look at all the psychology they're using. I look at the creativity, and if you've ever noticed, certain commercials, they do this on purpose. They do it to make you laugh. Because have you ever noticed that if you're around somebody who makes you laugh, you like that person. You generally like that person. I mean, as long as they're not telling crude jokes or whatever. Who wants to be around somebody who's angry and whatever? No one likes that. That's psychology they're using. In other words, if the commercial makes you laugh, you go, oh, I like this company. They're pretty cool. That's all that's happening in that commercial. They're just trying to get you to like them. Anyway, if you not been paying attention to the news, the email that I got last night was from so I'm a Knight of Columbus in the Catholic Church, and Kathy and I are head ushers. She's not allowed to be a knight, but she can be a head usher. We're the head ushers at the 10:30 mass on Sunday, and she so in the news, the people who are really upset about what happened with the Supreme Court this week, they said, "All right, you know what? We're going to go to all the we've had it. We're going to protest at all the Catholic churches this weekend." So they said that like 3 days ago, and so I thought, okay, whatever, I don't care. And I had decided. I told Kathy. Kathy said, "Have you gotten any emails yet?" And I said, "No, I haven't heard a word." And I said, "But I can tell you this." I said, "If it happens at our mass," I said, "I'm not going to touch the person. I'm not going to touch them. I'm not going to. I don't care. Because what's going to happen is they'll sue you. In other words, they'll sue you for assault. And so I don't care. Let them do whatever they want." The email came last night, and of course the archdiocese has been in contact with the police departments all around the state, and there's going to be police at the mass tomorrow. Are you kidding me? I mean, just so the police will deal with it. If the people, if there's an outburst or whatever. But and what's so silly about all this? Here's what's interesting. It doesn't really matter, this whole thing about abortion, because this is what it's about. That whole thing was leaked on purpose. It was unprecedented. It's just should be a criminal offense. I think it is a criminal offense. But what's interesting is that if you read, if I read it, if you read the leak, all that Alito is saying is that he said, "Listen, this should have never been a federal issue. This is not a federal issue whatsoever. This is a states' rights issue because it's not in the Constitution." See, that's what you need to understand. The founding fathers are really cool. They write the Constitution, it's like, in other words, if you're going to play bingo, seriously, if you're going to play bingo, you open up the board game and you pull out the rules, and there's like 4 pages, and that's the rules of the game. All right. Nothing hard about it. That's all the Constitution is of the United States. It's just a game of rules. It's just a set of rules. All right. Well, there's nothing in the flipping Constitution about abortion, and but what the Constitution does say, it's really clear. It says, if we don't have anything in the rules here, if there's nothing in these rules, then it's a state's right. The state gets to do whatever they want. All right. So I don't know what everybody's so upset about. In other words, because here's what's going to happen if this decision does come down and they get rid of Roe versus Wade. I don't know. We got 50 states in the United States, right? So maybe 20 of them are going to say, "Hey, man, you want to do an abortion? Go ahead. All right, do it." And maybe 30 are going to say, no abortions. So it's not like it's going away. Like, in other words, if you're a woman and you decide you want to kill a living being inside of you and you want to go to another state, well, then go do it. Nothing about this is hard. So, but they're all in a tizzy about it. All right. So anyway, that's what's going to happen tomorrow at our church. I'm sure I don't know that that's going to happen at ours, but I think it might, because we have some the town that my church is in is the newspaper is very liberal. So anyway, whatever, doesn't matter. If you have any questions about your home, let me ask them now. Ask them about your home. I'm here. I do these live streams. I've said this multiple times. Jimmy and Jason and Elaine, they already know this, what I'm going to say. I only do the live streams to try to help you save time and money. I don't do the live streams to watch myself and look at my flipping hair on the screen. That's not why I'm here. All right. So if you've got a question about it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be about lawnmowers. It doesn't have to be about, it can be about anything. I don't care what it is. It could be, what's the best paint? What's the best paint to use outside? Whatever. It could be anything. But here's the interesting thing. Here's what I've never really understood. Here's what's so crazy. So first of all, I'm a big pro-life guy. All right, I'm a big pro. Like how could you even consider abortion? Here's what's crazy about the whole abortion thing. How could you even consider abortion when there are tens of thousands of people who cannot have children? I happen to know some. They want to adopt. They want to have. What? Are you kidding me? And then so here this is what's crazy about it. Here in America, I think it's still like a felony. I mean, I'm not kidding. It's a felony. Like if you decide to climb up a tree and you take a bald eagle egg, all right, you take a bald eagle egg, which is it's got a living fetus in it. All right, there's a fetus that's growing in there, and you smash the egg. That's a felony. You might even go to prison. All right, right. So, are you kidding me? Where's that disconnect? How does that happen? All right. If you have any questions, love to answer them. One thing I was thinking about, I think in the middle of the night, I told you I had a really bad night's sleep. I've got this giant like stream of thoughts. And for some odd reason, I was thinking about my son's new home. He's going to have a blacktop driveway. And I thought to myself in the middle of the night, I need to tell him, like, do not seal the driveway. All right. So some people don't know that. Some people get a brand new blacktop driveway and then they seal it. Big mistake. So you really don't want to seal your blacktop driveway until it starts to turn gray. Until the asphalt cement has started to wear off the stones and the pieces of sand and exposing those, then you can go ahead and put a sealer on. And and most definitely you do not want to be sealing your driveway every year. If you're one of those people, if you're one of these people, OCD or whatever, obsessive compulsive disorder, whatever it is, and you just have to, you just want your driveway to look so beautiful and black. Here's my advice. Go buy the absolute cheapest, crappiest blacktop sealer you can find. I'm serious. Buy the crappiest one or the one that you do buy, add water to it. I don't care, because what you want is if you want it to wear off, you want it to be like the painted lines on the roads where you live. Have you noticed? I don't know if here in New Hampshire, for example, and I think it's because of the snow plowing. In fact, I know it is. So pretty soon here in my town, they're going to come out and they're going to paint the double yellow lines down Chemung Road. And they're going to look beautiful, brand new, fresh paint. You're going to be able to see it at night. But if you were to go out there right now, if I took you out to Chemung Road today, or took a photograph, you can barely see the double yellow lines because the abrasion of the snow plows and the people driving, just the people driving with the sand on the road for 4 or 5 months out of the year, it abrades the paint off. That's what you want to have happen with your driveway sealer. If you're one of these OCD people, you want it's okay. Put the sealer on in June or May, and it looks beautiful all summer long. But as winter goes through, it looks worse and worse and worse. So that by the time April rolls around, your driveway looks pretty crappy because it's all washed off. Good. That's good. That's what you want. Do not, if you put on a really high quality sealer, it won't wear off. And then what's going to happen is you're going to put these layers and layers and layers on, and eventually it starts to peel, and then it's going to look horrible. Jack wants to know, hey, Jack, are there rules for the install? You know what? There may be something in the code about it. I don't know. That's a great question, by the way. I don't memorize the building code. And the reason why is because there's two reasons. I know I've said this in past streams. And number one, it changes every 3 years. So they change it. They revise it. The biggest reason is what may be required in New Hampshire may not be required in Vermont. All right. Even though they're using the same code. Understand that the code officials, it's just a set of guidelines. And I'll give you an example. The up in Bar Harbor, the building inspector, they call themselves code enforcement officers. It's a woman, and she is such a wonderful. She is the best building inspector I've ever seen in my career. Her name's Angela Chamberlain. I can't say enough good things about her. She's a great woman. She's been doing it for like 20 years. When my daughter built her home, she had a set of winder steps. So if you don't know what winders are where you come down a set of steps and there's just not enough room to put a landing in. And so where the landing normally would be, you might have 3 steps or 2 steps. And my daughter drew it up like the old-fashioned way, where the winders came to a hard point, a single point. Well, the code evidently had gotten modified at some point. I didn't know it. I didn't pay attention. I didn't care. And that for some odd reason, the stupid code officials put in like a 6-inch radius. It's crazy. Stupid. And so I see that, and by the time we caught it, it's too late. The house had already been framed. You cannot change this. So I had a meeting with Angie, and I had made friends with Angie early on because I had met her before we started the house. Told her I was going to do the plumbing. I asked her if it was okay. She said, fine. She looked at my qualifications. Not a problem. You just have to pass the air test. Nothing about this is hard. And anyway, I bring Angie out to the job site. It's kind of a cold day. And I explained to her, and here's what I had done. I just said, I took a piece of, in other words, I walked up the steps like you would normally walk up the steps. And you typically put the handrail, you might put it on the wall. But even if you put the handrail on the inside part of the staircase, I put up a simulated handrail where it would be, because we had already built the winders. And when you map where the center line of your body is compared to where you're holding onto the handrail, the center line of your body is about 16 inches out from the handrail. All right. And most steps are only 36 inches wide. And when you're going up, when you then put a piece of blue painter's tape up the steps 16 inches away from that rate, from the center of the winder, the turning point, because you know what I'm talking about. I could draw it out, because I probably should draw it out, because it's probably confusing to you. I already know what you're saying. Where's the flipping whiteboard? Blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to draw this out because it's really important. So here's just a second, I'll hold this up. And then here is the other steps. And then here's the winders. All right. And then here's the thing. All right. So these are the winders. So they're just triangular steps. And of course, when they come here to the point, like if you were to put your feet here, there's hardly any surface area, and it might be dangerous. But in reality, the way people where their feet are is out here. And what's really interesting is on most winders, where this 16-inch line is bigger, is wider than the actual tread on all the other steps. All right. And so, I mapped that out for Angie. I created that red line with a piece of blue painter's tape. And anyway, Jack, I'm going to answer your question. And Angie said, fine, not a problem. It's going to be completely safe. And she just said, what idiot? She said anybody that decides that they're going to try to walk up. I mean, if they look at those steps and they're trying to walk on the inside part of that, and they trip, they deserve to get hurt. That's what she said. All right. So anyway, at least that's what I remember her saying. So the point I'm trying to make is the local code officials can look at parts of the building code and say, we're not doing that. That's stupid. So Jack, there may be a recommendation in the code what to do it. And as far as the guidelines, I really think it's pretty simple. Here's what I would do. You can go to like public restrooms, public places, kind of hard to find a public shower. But you can look to see how grab bars are put on in public places that are ADA compliant. That's a pretty good guideline as to where they should be placed. There's not a doubt in my mind that you could go to some ADA website and they're going to give you guidelines. The biggest thing is you got to have solid blocking. You should have solid blocking in the wall to attach to. So, and Elaine's got it. ADA has got guidelines for safety bars. The biggest thing is you just have to make sure that you've got really good, strong blocking so that, no one's pulling that grab bar off the wall. All right. If you have any questions like Jack has, now's the time to type them in. I don't care what it is. That was a great question, but my answer was way, way, way too long. But I just think you need to understand, and this goes across all elements of the code, and that the local building inspector can do two things, he or she, and like in Angie's case, she can make things more stringent. And, in other words, the code may say, do it this way. And she goes, no, 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 no. No, we're doing it this way. We're going to do it harder. And so that's why this should be a teaching moment for you. This is why that when you go to, and you're getting ready to draw plans for something, and you should if things that are really critical, you should probably run it by the plan examiner before you go out to bid, because you could be in for a big surprise. Because could you imagine if they don't catch something on the plan examiner, you go to build it, and then the building inspector comes out and says, sorry, you got to redo that. That would be horrible. It's happened. All right. So anyway, oh, thank you, Elaine. I missed it. What happens? I've got a real small chat window here. Let me see here. Let's see here. I'm trying to find. I am trying to find this thing that you said. I'm looking. Leaky hose bib. Why am I not seeing this? I'm not seeing anything about a leaky hose bib. I'm trying to find it. I'm going way up. I am not seeing it. I'm looking. That's all good. Don't have brushes. Yes. Corded tools. Blah, 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 blah. I don't see anything about a leaky hose bib. All right. 2 above jacks. All I see at 2 above jacks is a thumb up. And then I see another comment from you, Elaine. It says about you looking on your phone for lawnmowers. I don't see anything about hose bibs. All right. As far as leaky hose bibs, I had one I had to repair myself about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, the frost-proof ones. And same thing, it was leaking, and it wasn't that hard. I mean, you just take off the nut on the outside. You're able to pull that whole rod out, and at the end of it, just a traditional just a standard washer, hard rubber washer, and I put a new one on, fixed it perfectly. The problem that can happen sometimes, and I have someone who has this issue. I try to get them to do a consult call, but they think I'm an idiot. Is if your if you have a faucet that's dripping and you think the solution is to turn it tighter, you then wear out the rubber washer faster, and if you wear out the whole washer, then you've got like metal to metal contact, and you can ruin the seat of the valve. And if you ruin the seat and you put a line in it or you put a small dent in it, no, you're going to have a leak. And so as soon as an outdoor hose bib starts to not turn off or leak, you got to act. You got to change the washer right away. All right. So I hope that answered your question. Usually it's not too hard to do. Usually it's pretty easy. If you have any other questions, ask them. That's a good one. Plumbing. You're talking to a master plumber here. I'm trying to keep my other computer going, so I have to move the mouse before it times out. What else did I want to share with you? So much. There's so much to share with you. I starting the big massive garage decluttering next week. It's amazing. A lot of stuff's going to be moving through the house here in the next week or two. Trying to do it before it gets too hot here. The big problem we have right now is those damn black flies have come out. They always come out this time of year. The first week that the black flies come out, they're stupid. They're so stupid. They haven't figured out two things. Either they haven't figured out that they're supposed to bite, or they're not hungry yet. I don't know. I think it might be that they're not hungry yet, but I think they're a little stupid too. But they're out. I saw them for the first time 2-3 days ago. I walked down the street, met with a neighbor yesterday, and they were starting to swarm around us, but I didn't know they weren't biting. Can someone else ask your question for you? Yes, but I don't know how they would get into your head to figure out what to ask. I don't know where. I don't see this thing 2 above jack. I'm just telling you. I told you what I see 2 above jack on my screen is a thumbs up, Elaine. That's all you put. And Elaine, remember, if it doesn't work here, you can always just email me the question. Happy to answer it. Just I won't be answering it today though. Not today. I got stuff going on today. You've posted it. All right. I'm telling you, I do not see this question. I mean, I'm just like, I'm going up. Here's all the things that you've done. You got leaky hose bib question, 2 above Jack's question. So I go up to Jack's question, and 2 above that is you. I mean, there's 1 above Jack is you. It says, I think I read 16 states are going to allow. And then the 1 above that is a thumbs up only. Then 1 above that is you saying, I looked on my phone, PowerSmart has some 200. That's the question I asked you about gasoline powered lawnmowers. And then there's Jimmy, then there's Elaine, and Elaine says, you don't have to replace the brushes. So now we're like 6, 7, 8 above it. So, and there's where I embarrassed myself about my question. Anyway, so I don't see your question. Oh, finally, this is the first time I've seen this. Do I need to shut the power off to the well? Of course. Well, no, you don't have to shut the power off to the well if you have a shut-off valve between the well and the hose bib. For example, like in my house, because I have this in my home. My whole home is PEX, and I have a manifold system. There's 2 ways to install PEX. I have a manifold. So down in my mechanical room, I have these lines, these manifold, and right at the top of each manifold is a valve. And they're all labeled. And so there's the one that says hose bib, southwest corner, whatever. I just turn that valve 90 degrees. I go outside, turn on the valve, nothing comes out. That's why I love these PEX manifold systems, because when you if you have to go work on the plumbing in your home, for like in your case, like if you had to shut the power off to the well because no one put a shutoff valve in, and you get into a pickle, something goes wrong with a repair. Now you've got no water in the rest of the house. That's crazy. So at the very least, hopefully the plumber should have put on the inside of the house a ball valve that allows you to stop water going out to that hose bib. at the very least. But sometimes they do. That's even worse. I can shut the water off to the pump, but then my neighbors won't have it. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. How this is a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. How is it that you and your neighbor share a well? That doesn't, I don't know about that. I don't think I would want that situation. It's kind of crazy. If you have a question, if you're here, first of all, we've only got 2 thumbs up. What's up with that? Am I that boring today? Are you kidding me? Um, is it my hair? What is it? I don't. I mean, I know I got a haircut. It's pretty short. I told Michaela, summer cut. Let's do it. Cut it. So she cut it pretty short. But if you like what you're hearing, give me a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. If you're watching the stream and you're new and you've not checked in, make sure you go to my website, askthebuilder.com, and sign up for the newsletter. It's free. Elaine will tell you it can be a really funny newsletter. It can. I'm starting this whole new thing where I share what I did the week before. I this section, and I've got a really. It was really kind of interesting what happened this past week. So I think you're going to like the newsletter tomorrow, Elaine. And so sign up for the newsletter. Appreciate it. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. If you don't have any questions, I'm going to end the stream because I've got stuff I can do right now, and I don't want to just babble here about nothing. I just don't. I don't think it's useful for your time. I don't know that it's useful for my time. So please, now's the time to ask a question if you've got it. And there could be a little latency in the chat, so I'll talk for a few more minutes. But one of the things I did do this week, earlier in the week, in my decluttering process, I'd gotten behind in destroying business records. You know, you only have to keep business records for some, and personal too, for so many years. You know, and then the IRS can't come after you. I mean, of course, there's no statute of limitation for fraud, but I think it's still 3 years. So I had stuff going back 10, 12 years. So I don't like to shred that stuff. I think that people can put it all back together. So I burn it. And I had some really good fires going. I'll tell you that. Really good fires going this week. And what I use is my daughter and I 2 years ago built this outdoor kiln. It was a failed experiment. And the reason it failed is because I didn't make the firebox big enough. We were trying to make a compact kiln. And in retrospect, that was a mistake. You need to have a big firebox. You need to have a lot of wood burning to get it up to temperature. And so I put a handheld leaf blower. You know, you get a fire going, put the papers in, get a handheld leaf blower going. I've got a big, like 7-foot high chimney, metal chimney, and that really helps with the draft. And I stand back about 7 feet with this leaf blower and turn it on. It's like a flipping rocket engine inside the kiln. I mean, like it's very hot. You know, it's all confined space. So in other words, if it was open fire, you'd be blowing stuff all over the place. But this is in a confined spot, just like a boiler, like a locomotive firebox. And oh my gosh, it was crazy. And if you read the first book, volume 1 to my daughter, that I wrote for her 2-3 years ago, one of the chapters in that book, in my early life as a kid growing up, I was just fascinated with fire. And I had a fire barrel in the back of my house. And I would burn anything and everything. And when I found out that my sister's hairspray cans exploded, oh, I couldn't wait until I kept telling her, do you think you could? I think I would tell her, don't you think you need more hairspray? I think your hair's looking pretty bad. You should spray some more spray on it. So those things really explode. Okay. So I'm a little bit of a pyromaniac. That's never left me. All right. All right. Any questions? Now's the time to ask them. Now's the time. Last call for questions. Last call. Almost done with volume 2. I'll tell you this, I wrote a kind of a fun chapter earlier in the week about motorcycles. I've always liked motorcycles. I was one of the first people to get when motorcycle licenses were required in the state of Ohio back in 1968. I was one of the first people to get one. Literally the first week, right? In other words, when they said, okay, testing begins this week, we knew that ahead of time, and a buddy of mine and we made the appointment. I remember it was late winter, it was cold the day we went, and we took the test on a Honda 90, which is really just like a powered bicycle. So it was really, really, really easy to pass the test on a Honda 90. And so I have ridden motorcycles ever since I was 16. And but what happened was, here's what was cool: was before I bought my car, the Honda 350 came out, and I don't know if you're my age, the Honda 350. It was, I guess, the best analogy I might give, and I actually put this in the chapter I wrote. It was like when my kids were teenagers years ago. They were at a magical age when Steve Jobs was still alive and he had introduced the iPod. And if you remember how popular the iPod was, so the iPod, if I'm not mistaken, it pretty much predated smartphones, but that was the platform that was then used for smartphones per se. And everybody had to have an iPod, right? I mean, it was just like so popular. And that's the way the Honda 350 was. It was a beautiful motorcycle. It was over-engineered. It was easy to maintain, good looking. It was a good looking bike. And in 350 cc's, believe it or not, that's a really interesting size for a motorcycle, for like a cruiser. I mean, it's not, I would not recommend you take the 350 on a cross-country trip, all right? That's why you would ride a Harley, all right? Big 1,000 cc, 1,200, 1,500 cc bike. But a 350 as a cruiser around town, oh, it was like perfect size, a lot of power for one person. I wanted one so badly. And they had this beautiful model that had a red and white gasoline tank. The rest of the bike was pretty much black, the frame. And they only cost $375 back in 1968. I mean, I bought my brand new VW Bug. I bought a brand new car for myself on my 17th birthday, and that was only $2,000. Well, that was a lot of money back then. But so a motorcycle is going to be far cheaper than a car. And my mom and dad said, nope, not getting one. Nope. And they said, if you get that, and I said, I'm going to buy the bike. I've got the money. I can do it. I can go down there right now and buy it. They said, fine, go buy the bike. Just make sure you're moved out by this weekend. You don't have enough life experience to really kind of think about playing a game of poker with your mom and dad. They put down their hand, the royal flush. The royal flush in that discussion was move out. And when you're 17 years old, you're not like, what? I've lived here my whole life. How can you kick me out? So I didn't get a motorcycle. They wouldn't let me have it. And then what happened is, Elaine, if you're still here, you'll love this. So I'm riding motorcycles like crazy. I'm borrowing them from my friends, and they all let me use them. And so when I started dating Kathy, which was late winter of my junior year in high school, I remember borrowing a friend of mine, his 350, and going out to visit her at her house. And we're just dating at that time. And I remember she wasn't real thrilled about it, but her mom and dad were not thrilled at all. They told her, you're not allowed to date a Hell's Angel. I'm serious. That's what they said. And I wasn't a Hell's Angel. I didn't have one of the Hell's Angels jackets. All right. The denim jackets with the sleeves torn off. I did. And, so she made that clear to me. She was like, if you want to continue to date me, don't ever come out here again on motorcycles. And in fact, it probably would be a good idea for you to stop riding motorcycles. Well, I was so smitten with her. um, it's like, I was like, okay, motorcycles, Kathy, motorcycles, Kathy. So I went, Kathy. So I pretty much stopped riding them. And, but then my daughter bought oh my gosh, my daughter bought a beautiful Honda Shadow 600cc bike 4 years ago. And she got the motorcycle. So my youngest daughter's a lot like me. She's just a lot like me. And she said, Dad, I want to get a motorcycle. So I said, then get one. And of course, Kathy is so angry at me. Oh my gosh. How could you say that? She said, you know how dangerous they are? I go, do you remember when she was born? Do you remember what the year was? I mean, I was already in the doghouse. What would matter if I went 2 more days? I said, do you remember when she was born? Yes. And the whole point of that question was, she's an adult. I mean, like an adult. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So, so I ride my daughter's Honda Shadow up and down this road. She's funny. She never got it inspected. The plates went out of, the plates are expired, but I live on a private road and there's 3 miles of roads here. So I take it out and keep it exercised. I put a helmet on and all that, but man, this Honda 600cc Shadow. Oh my gosh. And the thing only had, get this. It's a 2006 motorcycle. It was in mint condition. Only had 6,400 miles on it. That's hardly anything for a motorcycle. Generally speaking, once a motorcycle starts to get up to 15,000 miles, things can start to go wrong. But this thing it's in mint condition. Beautiful, beautiful motorcycle. So I love riding that thing. I'll be getting it out this week, getting it out of the shed. So, anyway, let's see. Elaine says, I tried to buy a Yamaha Enduro in 1974. Parents said no, bought a horse. I wonder I know one thing, the horse requires more care. I never thought about what it costs to, even back then, what would it cost to feed a horse a day? I guess that's a great question. I mean, I don't know anything about it. How much hay does a horse eat in a day? If you have to feed it in the wintertime when it's not out in the pasture, does it eat a bale of hay a day? I never thought about that. And what would a bale of hay cost in 1974? $1? 50 cents? I don't know. Interesting stuff. That's really interesting stuff. All right. I see there's no more questions. I'm not here to talk about hay and horses. I love horses, by the way, because I have so little experience with them, I'm very intimidated by them, and they know that. I mean, the horses are smart, right? I mean, come on. They're like, they look at you with those eyes and they're like, this guy's a rookie. I just, I've only ridden them a couple times. But I mean, I love everything about horses. I mean, they're such majestic animals. Like, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh. They're great. And I loved it at the end of the Napoleon Dynamite movie. I mean, literally at the end of the movie, like the final scenes where Napoleon says, his wedding gift to his brother Kif was a what did he call it? I bought you a honeymoon stallion. Flake of alfalfa twice a day. Okay, so I don't know what I don't know what a flake is. It's obviously a quantity, a certain quantity. $65 a month boarding. So it was 60. Are you telling me it was $65 a month back in 1974? Wow. I mean, that would be $2 a day, a little over $2 a day. Holy tomato. $65 back in 1974 is a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. I'm trying to think. My car payment, I could figure it out. Let's figure it out. And then I'll get out of here. I love doing these live streams sometimes because you get to go down memory lane. So I had let's see, I had a 2-year loan for my car for $1,200. So 1,200 divided by 24. So yeah, my car payment was about $50 a month. I remember my car cost like $2,100. I put $900 down. I still had like $300-400 in the bank, which was a lot of money back then. And this is 1967, not 74. And $50. My mom had to co-sign on my car loan, and she was nervous because she was like on the hook if I didn't make the payments, and she made that clear to me. She said, listen, she loved me. She said, listen, I'll sign this loan for you, but you have got to make these payments. So you cannot lose your job at the chili parlor. I said, no problem. No intention of losing it. Because I was working 7 days a week. I worked 7 days a week at the chili parlor. Crazy. I worked Monday through Friday from 4 in the afternoon till 7. I worked on Saturdays from 10:30 in the morning until 7 at night. And then I worked on Sundays from, I think I had to go in at 11 and I got off at midnight. So 13-hour day. Crazy. I made a lot of money. And the long and short of it is, because I could tell that my mom was stressed out by this loan. So I started making double payments. And because I had plenty of money. And I paid off the 2-year loan in 9 months. All right. So so she was pretty happy about that. All right. So here we go. All right. So wow, $65 a month. That was a lot of money, because I remember for the average person, $50 a month in 1967 was a lot of money. That and farrier fees. A flake of alfalfa is about 4 or 5 inches of compacted alfalfa. Came in rectangles weighing between. That's very interesting. I need to learn more about horses. My next door neighbor here, the woman that lives next door to me, she's a big horse person. I don't know if she still has one. She may have gotten rid of it, but it would be down south. They moved here about 8 years ago, and they live 50 miles south of here in New Hampshire. But I know she's a horsewoman. She knows a lot about horses. I'll ask her about that. In fact, Lillian, I'll talk to her. It'll be really interesting to see what boarding fees are now. My God, if it was $65 back then, boarding and feed, $65 a month. That makes sense. Boarding and feed. I'll bet you that means, everything's like 10 times. That means that boarding and feed right now could be $700 a month. I'll bet. That's going to be interesting to see. All right. I'm going to go. Thanks for being here. Unless you have a question, if you've got a question about your home, I'll give you like 1 minute to ask the final question. I'm happy to answer your question. Anything about your home. I don't care what it is. Roofing question. I did the live stream on Wednesday about metal roofing, because down the street they put a metal roof on the house. God, I don't know what that cost those people. It was a very cut up roof. Oh, that roof could have cost those people 25-30 grand. Crazy. There we go. All right, Elaine, you have a great day too. I hope your back's better, by the way. And I always enjoy your emails, just so you know. It's like the letters. I write letters to my daughter, and real old-fashioned letters, with a pen. Here's the pen I use. This is the fountain pen that my daughter gave me. Beautiful wood fountain pen. All right. I love fountain pens. Jason, You didn't ask anything today. um, but Elaine is like my electronic pen pal, and it's wonderful. Jack, you're here too. You guys, just so you know, I find it remarkable. I really do. I find it so remarkable that you will hang in here for an hour and 20 minutes listening to me. I mean, I haven't said anything today. Oh, you're not feeling good today. That's bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry about that. Um, well, get better, buddy. Get better. I feel really good. I am. I'm feeling great. Now, it's just that last night, and I know what it was. I was up for like 3 hours in the middle of the night, and I wasn't up. I was just in bed, just wide awake like this. And uh, because a really, really good friend of mine, she's actually my first girlfriend, and we still stay in contact. Um, and Kathy knows her. Kathy went to grade school with her, and but she lives in Cincinnati, and she's having a really tough time right now. I mean, like, and she shared a little bit with me yesterday. She texted me, and I'm trying to pull her back from the edge. It's really sad. I mean, really sad. So I don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to be. I put the odds of at maybe just 20%. That's how powerful. That's how powerful the propaganda has been the past 2 years. It's so sad. So many people have been played. I mean, all of us have been played. Not everybody is awake, and there are still a lot of people who are asleep. But that's how powerful the propaganda is. It's just been this huge, massive psyops that have happened. It's crazy, flipping. I know there's books that have been written about it. I've been thinking about writing my own book about it, but the problem is there's so much competition. But anyway, Jason, I hope you feel better. I'm going to do a lot of radio. We got a lot of cool ham radio happening today. The New England QSO party is happening today. So what you try to do in the New England QSO party is you try to make contact with as many New England states as possible. And there's a lot of people that want to make contact with us here in New Hampshire, because I mean there's quite a few New Hampshire radio operators, but we're a small state. All right, so people want to make contact with you. So I'm gonna do a lot of ham radio today. I did a lot yesterday. So anyway, thanks for being here, Jason. Hope you feel better. Elaine, hope you if you're still here, Elaine, I hope your back gets better. And Jack, hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great weekend. And if you are here and you did not check in, I hope you have a great weekend. I should be back here Monday at 4:00. I'll have that corded versus cordless tools column done. Going to do that tomorrow. And the bottom line is, here's the bottom line. If you, it's a little too late for all the moms out there. If you're a mom and you asked for gift ideas, you should have asked for corded tools. You should have said, please buy me a corded circular saw. And if you're a dad, and I'm telling you right now, all you want to do is build this collection of corded tools. I'm talking, the tools, you know what I'm talking about. Tools with this, they have this thing, all right? A cord. That's what you want. Corded tools. And so I think the power tool companies are going to be a little upset at me. They'll get over it like a bad cold, though, right? That's what I used to tell my girlfriends when I broke up with them. You'll get over it like a bad cold. I didn't tell it to that too many of them. All right. Thanks very much for being here. I'm Tim Carter. You've been watching Ask the Builder. I hope you have a great weekend. And if you're a mom, have a great Mother's Day. If your mom is still alive, my mom passed away about 12 years ago. If your mom's still alive, make sure you call her, make sure you go see her. I have this photograph of mom. You're going to see a photo of my mom tomorrow in the newsletter. This black and white photo, sepia toned, actually. It's kind of sepia. And wait till you see my mom's lips in that photo. Wait till you see her lip, and you tell me what color you think that lipstick was. All right. So great, great photo of my mom and dad. All right, gotta go. Thanks for being here. I'm Tim Carter. You've been watching Ask the Builder. I'll be back on Monday about 4 p.m. Eastern Time.